Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, November 24th, 2022. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's AEW Dynamite broadcast live on TBS from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. The show opened with a heated confrontation between former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley and William Regal, the erstwhile leader of the Blackpool Combat Club, who cost Moxley the title against MJF last weekend at Full Gear.
I want you to run.
Whoa.
Run far away as you can, and you never, ever come back. Right now, walk and keep on walking.
The main event saw Chris Jericho retain the Ring of Honor World title against New Japan Pro Wrestling's Tomohiro Ishii, defeating Ishii via submission with the Lion Tamer. Orange Cassidy also retained the All-Atlantic title on the program, beating Jake Hager. In their first match back on Dynamite since their suspensions were lifted, the Elite Trio of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks lost the second match of their best-of-7 series against AEW World Trios champions the Lucha Brothers and Pac, collectively known as the Death Triangle. The Death Triangle now lead the series 2-1. The match was punctuated by loud chants of CM Punk, as well as FCM Punk, from the divided crowd, as well as chants of F the Elite. At one point, Omega even attempted Punk's go-to-sleep finisher. In the finals of the World Title Eliminator Tournament, Ricky Starks defeated Ethan Page, earning Starks a future shot at AEW World Champion MJF at the Winter is Coming live AEW Dynamite in December. And in another championship development from the show, Renee Paquette announced that due to her inability to defend the title, Thunder Rosa has officially relinquished the AEW World Women's Championship, and going forward, the interim Women's Champion Jamie Hayter would be recognized as the lineal champion. Hayter and Britt Baker went on that evening to win a triple threat tag team encounter over the teams of Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue, and Ty Mello and Anna Jay. Also on the show was the TV return of Malachi Black and his House of Black faction, including Julia Hart, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King. The foursome appeared following Orange Cassidy's title match, clearing the ring of the All-Atlantic champion, the Best Friends, as well as QT Marshall and the Factory, who had come down to challenge Cassidy.
The House of Black! They've returned, and look at them go! Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King just laying waste to Orange Cassidy, the Best Friends, and Rocky Romero.
And the Factory seems impressed. Why not? It's the House of Black.
Look at those! Oh my! Brody King just laid out Naccarato, and now the House of Black just going after the Best Friends, going after the Factory.
Taking everybody out here, not playing games, House of Black.
The House of Black had not been seen in AEW since All Out on September 4th. In more All Elite Wrestling news, AEW Executive Vice President Kenny Omega encouraged fans to, quote, let it go, unquote, with regards to the All Out Media Scrum locker room altercation, indicating in an interview with Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso that there would be no new information publicly revealed about the incident. Said Omega in the interview, quote, though I cannot talk about it, I do want the fans to know I still want the best for pro wrestling. This isn't Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against CM Punk. It is people trying to show off their craft. You can boo Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or CM Punk, but I hope people don't forget we're human beings struggling to show our art, unquote. Omega, the Bucks, and Punk were suspended as a result of the heavily publicized backstage fight, which occurred following inflammatory remarks made by Punk during the press scrum. Punk is reported to be in the midst of a contract buyout that would see him part ways with AEW, while Omega and the Bucks made their official AEW in-ring returns last Saturday at Full Gear. In WWE news, the company has signed Gabby Butler, a social media star and featured performer on the Netflix cheerleading competition program Cheer. That's according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Johnson described Butler as, quote, 100% a star and probably in the top echelon of athletes ever signed by the company, unquote. Butler, who has over 2 million Instagram followers, was WWE's guest last July at Nashville's Nissan Stadium for SummerSlam, where she began contemplating the possibility of joining the company, according to an interview she gave to People magazine. Said Butler to People, quote, "It was almost like I was watching a cheerleading competition, but wrestling edition," unquote. Paul Levesque welcomed Butler to WWE on Twitter, indicating that she would be starting out at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. In ratings news, NXT Live Tuesday night on the USA Network drew its smallest total audience and key demographic rating since the middle of summer, according to Showbuzz Daily. The total audience for the show was 624,000, down 5.88% from last week's 633,000, and it's the lowest total audience since August 9th. In the key 18 to 49-year-old demo, the rating was 0.12, down 29.41% from last week's 0.17, and the lowest key demo rating for the show since the July 5th Great American Bash episode, according to WrestleNomics. The episode ranked 50th in the cable top 150 for the evening in the demo, a steep drop from last week's ranking of number 26. In ticket sales news, this Friday's post-Thanksgiving and pre-Survivor Series SmackDown has distributed 5,008 tickets to the Amica Mutual Pavilion in Providence, Rhode Island as of Tuesday night, according to a WrestleTix report. 1,162 tickets were still available at the time of the report. This is WWE's first card at the Amica Mutual Pavilion since WrestleMania Backlash, which drew more than 8,000 fans last May. In NWA and AAA news, wrestlers from both companies will face off against each other as part of a music festival taking place in Mexico City on March 4th and headlined by the rock band Smashing Pumpkins, according to an NWA announcement made to Twitter yesterday. Called The World is a Vampire, the show will take place at the Foro Sol Stadium. Smashing Pumpkins is fronted by Billy Corgan, the owner of NWA. This is the first time that Corgan's band and his wrestling company have performed on the same show. In news from Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling announced this morning that the company will be holding a second Wrestle Kingdom event in conjunction with Pro Wrestling Noah that's going to be held on January 21st at Yokohama Arena. No details were released as of yet. New Japan's annual Wrestle Kingdom event at the Tokyo Dome will take place on January 4th. Kenta will be making his first appearance in Pro Wrestling Noah in a year when he teams with Naomichi Marufuji to challenge Satoshi Kojima and Takashi Sugiura for the GHC Tag Team title on the January 1st New Year's show at Nippon Budokan in Tokyo, according to an announcement by Noah yesterday. This will be Kenta's first appearance for Noah since the last New Year's show. Kenta reigned as Noah's GHC Heavyweight Champion from 2013 to 2014. His appearance will take place on the same card scheduled to feature Keiji Muto against Shinsuke Nakamura. In related news, Darby Allin has been added to the January 22nd Noah match that will see Muto wrestle for the final time under the Great Muta persona. Muta will team with Sting and Allin at the Great Muta Final Bye-Bye show at Yokohama Arena. Their opponents have yet to be announced. The match will mark Allin's first time wrestling in Japan. Following the January 22nd match, Keiji Muto is scheduled to wrap up his wrestling career with his retirement match at the Tokyo Dome on February 21st. Carl Anderson's challenger for the December 14th New Japan World Tag League show at Sun Plaza Hall in Sendai, Japan will be Hikuleo, according to an official announcement made yesterday. Anderson was originally scheduled to defend his never openweight title against Hikuleo on November 5th in Japan, but refused to honor the commitment after signing with WWE in October, choosing instead to appear at WWE's Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia on the same day. This will be the first New Japan appearance for Anderson and his partner Doc Gallows since the duo signed with WWE last month. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.